Hey everyone, welcome to Tech Talk Tuesdays. I'm Eddie with Certification Partners, and we know it's back to school time. So today we're doing a special topic around what would it look like to be a new instructor with our ICT or CIW programs and products. And today I have the special honor and privilege to have with us Eric Brontes, who's our Director of Sales and Operations here with Certification Partners. Eric, welcome to the Tech Talk Tuesday Conversations.
Thanks for having me, Eddie. It's a pleasure to be on.
Of course, of course. So, Eric, I mean, we're looking more at the internal stuff as someone who's kind of stepping into new shoes as an instructor in the classroom, whether it's with ICT or CIW. I mean, what are some of the obstacles that a new instructor would have? What are some of the challenges they may face?
So, in a lot of situations, when I run into new instructors, is locating where the additional resources are, and a big question that I always get is, what do the students see versus what do I see as a teacher? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody and kind of take you like it's your first time ever seeing the system before, to make sure that I kind of cover some of the little hurdles I've experienced in my webinars with new instructors throughout the years. So on my screen, this is going to be the online system that we use for our ICT program for curriculum preparation and the final exam. And if you use the CIW brand, this is where we do the curriculum and prep for that. But when you log in, the first thing that, to make sure everybody understands is we always want to guide ourselves to the library. Once my screen loads up, it'll give us an option to either continue where we left off or my library. I always recommend, let's just go right back to where the main menu, I guess, would be. For ICT, I'm gonna zoom into just one product. I'm gonna use multimedia. For new instructors, the big question is what is it? The blue is going to be your curriculum side of things. The white side is going to be the practice and final exam, which is already pre-set into the system. But the biggest question is always, how do I access the instructor resources, the presentation slides, the handouts, the activities that support the lessons? As an instructor, you would want to click your manage button, and you need to make sure that you have a section in place. If you don't have a section, the first thing you want to do is create one. For quick purposes or just to be able to access it, you could simply just call it test and test to create it. If you're really generating sections for classroom management and connecting students, you could call it something like fall 2022 period 1, Mr. Barantes, as an example. The start date is always on the date of enrollment, and the duration, that's up to you. I always like to use a big number, 200. And then the mastery is normally like a certificate of course completion that you would provide your students. It's not the same thing as the final certificate. But once you hit save and manage, the system will actually take you inside of what is called the instructor toolbox. The resources, the presentations, the handouts and activities are always going to be on the blue logo side, the blue logo product in the resources. And within here, you're going to be able to find, depending on the product, at least ICT, you will find a lesson file for each program. With ICT, our lessons range anywhere from 3 to 7 lessons, depending on the product. But each of these files, it's going to guarantee you have a presentation, these things that we called closed notes, and then also a lesson quiz that you can use as a handout to teach your students. Those are guaranteed in every single ICT Essentials product that we have, from programming to gaming, to communications and more. Depending on the program that you're working with, determines how many additional activities that we have. Just to show you quickly, this is what the presentation slides would look like per lesson, depending on the program. But all of these extra activities that you see here would just be available because they flow through with the lessons. A lot of instructors are always come back and they're like, well, Eric, that's great. There's a bunch of exercises there, but how do I know when's the appropriate time to utilize these exercises with my presentations or my class? And that's when I have to tell them, it's a really good time to take a moment and take some time to read the material. So if I was just working on ICT multimedia, as a teacher, I would recommend going in and clicking your manage, going to view course, and taking some time to go through and read the lesson material, because this will tell you a really good time when certain activities will come up that you would want to use, or certain files to teach your lesson. In this example, it's also really good because it's a good time to use the videos that pop up to teach and take a little water break at times. But as you're reading the material, some of the files will pop up, like this too much animation PowerPoint, too much sound PowerPoint. Those are actually located right here. Too much sound, too much animation that you could utilize. But that's why I always recommend read the book, because it tells you the appropriate time of when those activities should be used with your presentation. And then also, like I mentioned, there's great videos depending on the activity or the program that you're working with. There's some really good videos that you might want to present to the class.
Seems like that resource tab really does have a nice amount of things that instructors can utilize in their instruction.
Another thing that we kind of experience with newer teachers is that they don't understand the process of proctoring an ICT exam or getting proctors in place for the ICT exam. The first thing that we always recommend is to make sure to contact our instructional support team first to make sure that their proctor has an existing account. If they already know their proctor has an active profile on the online system already, then they're good to go. Step one is complete. But the most important thing is to reach out to make sure we have an active proctor in place. And then the setup of an exam is really easy. Most teachers will, when it comes down to the final exam, we'll already have students connected to our sections, like some classes down here below. So an instructor could just come into their class, go into the design area where it says post-assessment. They can connect their proctor here. And I'm just going to go in and add Mike Ryder in there, who's one of my instructional support reps, and click off of it. You have to click on white space. Well, I at least recommend it, and wait for the system to load up, because what it'll do is it'll verify if Mike Ryder has an active or an existing account, like this. If you see a green check, he's there, he's good. If you see a red X, the contact doesn't exist yet in the system. You should follow back up with my team. You can upload up to 3 proctors at a time on the system. The secret to it is having a comma with no spaces in between the 3 email addresses that you put into the system. It will verify them. You hit OK, save your work. And then I always tell instructors, go to student view, click on the exam, and verify that your proctors are showing up in that section, just like mine are. If you're not seeing your proctors in there, you may have accidentally forgot to hit save. Again, you may have just continued on without having a real person in there. But I do know that connecting the proctor has come up in many new teacher scenarios, but it is a very quick and easy process that they kind of just shared.